okay?
Whatever you want to do. Whatever.
Yes, sir. All right, give me just a second.
The aftermath of a tragic shooting on a New Mexico movie set. Tonight, these images are some of the first pieces of evidence jurors have to consider in actor Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial. Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. In opening statements today, the prosecution and defense offered differing views on that 2021 shooting that killed cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the Santa Fe set of the movie Rust. The first witness to take the stand today was a law enforcement officer whose body camera was rolling as he responded to that scene.
How's it going, sir? My understanding, you were in the room when someone was shot?
Holding the gun, yeah.
Okay.
And that is just some of the body camera footage jurors saw in court today. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin shows us how prosecutors and defense attorneys are working to make an impression on this jury.
Nearly 3 years after the fatal shooting of Rust cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial getting underway with opening statements on Wednesday.
The evidence will show that someone who played make-believe with a real gun and violated the cardinal rules of firearm safety is the defendant.
Hutchins was killed on set when a gun Baldwin was holding and pointing in her direction fired a live round. Prosecutors telling jurors Baldwin acted recklessly the day of the shooting. They say he declined several opportunities for standard safety checks prior to rehearsal.
He cocks the hammer, points it straight at Miss Hutchins, and fires that gun.
Baldwin has pleaded not guilty to the charges, saying he did not pull the trigger on the firearm and did not know it contained a live round. His legal team calling the shooting a tragic accident, telling the court Baldwin committed no crime.
He's an actor. He's an actor. But here we are at a homicide trial.
Playing a scene from the movie Rust, Baldwin's attorney says the 66-year-old was a, quote, actor acting on the day of the shooting. He says the people on set who are responsible for ensuring firearm safety failed in their duties that day.
The most critical issue in this case is how a real bullet got on a movie set. The evidence will show that real bullets are never supposed to be on movie sets.
Baldwin faces up to 18 months in prison if convicted. In Los Angeles, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Well, this trial is just getting started, but already some are asking whether actor Alec Baldwin will testify in his own defense at any point. We spoke about that possibility and the key aspects of this case with KTVU legal analyst Michael Cardoza.
As the defense argued, it doesn't make any difference whether he pulled the trigger or not, because he believed he was loaded a gun that had blanks in it. So he relied on the armorer and the first assistant director for that information, and then he fires the gun. They do it all the time, according to the defense. They point the gun at the fictional bad guys on the set. So if it didn't happen then, it would have happened on the set. The district attorney, of course, is saying, no, whenever you point a gun at someone, you should check. Now, is she right? Jury will determine that. In normal life, when you have live rounds and a gun, certainly you shouldn't do that. But this is a different circumstance. The jury, I think they're really stretching on this one. And I really do think that it's because he is who he is, and that's a person with star power. I think this DA is overreaching, and we'll see what the jury does. It would shock me if they came back with a guilty verdict in this case.
Do you think there is a chance that we may see Alec Baldwin take the stand here, since one of the central questions has to do with whether or not he pulled the trigger?
So I'd be inclined to think they will put him on the stand because he's intelligent enough and he is an actor. And I think the jury will be, attracted to him and that star power. If I were now the prosecution in the case, I would point out, well, you are an actor. How can we trust what you are saying? And explore that avenue on cross-examination.
The jury in this case is made up of 11 women and 5 men. 4 of the jurors will be deemed alternates, while the other 12 will deliberate. We turn now to the extreme weather we're seeing here and more record-breaking heat all across the West today. The National Weather Service in Las Vegas shared this time-lapse video showing crayons melting in the blistering sun. Today, Las Vegas hit a high of 118 degrees, the 5th consecutive day in the city with a temperature above 115 degrees. And of course, Arizona is another hot spot. Here is a live look at conditions in Phoenix tonight, where the low temperature early this morning was 92 degrees. The National Weather Service says if that temperature doesn't fall below that mark by midnight, it would set a daily record for the warmest low temperature in Phoenix on this date. KTVU meteorologist Bill Martin is tracking the extreme heat across the West, and he joins us now with more on what to expect throughout the rest of this week. Bill?
It is a lot of heat, Alex, and we've got these red areas basically across the entire western United States, excessive heat warning. The yellow represents a heat advisory, and of course with this comes certainly right away fire danger. Air quality's taken a hit, especially in California with the fires that are burning. But the other thing is, and I think I've said this to you before, is that heat's the weather thing. It's that causes the most problem for humans. In other words, tornadoes, hurricanes, people die, but not like when heat's involved. So you've got thousands and millions of people under this heat blanket that's going to last in many cases through Friday and maybe a little bit longer. In the Central Valley of California, we've seen over 115, 118 degree temperatures up in the northern Sacramento Valley. So we're going to continue with a lot of heat. This is the high, or these are the highs from today. Redding hit 114. That's the hot spot, 115 in Phoenix. Right now, temperatures, you can just look at the colors, man. I mean, you can see what's going on there. The colors representing very, very high temperatures all throughout the West. And there's no real relief in sight. There's a live camera now. We're in San Francisco, and you can see the fog kind of off in the distance. And that's the key, especially on the West Coast, is the idea that the fog is being restricted to the coastline. It can't get inland, essentially. So with that, temperatures increase. Tomorrow's going to be the hottest day in the Bay Area and in Seattle and Portland of the week. And then temperatures will trend down this weekend a little bit, but still very, very hot. What this is showing you is the forecast, or not the forecast, the current setup for the West Coast. And the thing to note here is, I was just looking at these arrows. If you look at see the smoke line or the jet streaks coming this way, that's the flow, the wind flow. And so we got big fires burning down around Santa Barbara. So that smoke is coming all across the state of California and causing air quality concerns, spare the air days in parts of the Bay Area of California. The temperature forecast for tomorrow, there it is. It's going to be hot. Temperatures back where they were today, actually higher than they were the other day when we had higher than they were today. So tomorrow will be the hottest day of the week in California. You can see temperatures a little bit better in San Francisco, where these numbers are from. And then out in Denver, temperatures into the low 100s for the weekend. It just stays hot, man. And that means paying attention to your health, drink water, pay attention to the pets, pay attention to the elderly, and just kind of survive it, because it's not going away anytime soon. As you can see here, especially Denver and Phoenix, it stays hot right through the weekend.
Yeah, a really serious situation. Bill, thank you. Less than a month after hosting a fundraiser for President Biden in Los Angeles, actor George Clooney is now calling on Biden to drop out of the presidential race. In a New York Times opinion piece, Clooney said the Biden he was with 3 weeks ago at that fundraiser was not the same man as he was in 2020. Clooney believes a Biden ticket cannot win and may hurt other Democrats in other races.
He also did give credit to Joe Biden, saying that he did save democracy in 2020, but he feels that at the moment that Joe Biden just cannot win this race against time, this race against age.
The president is now scheduling a media blitz in the coming days, with a news conference planned for tomorrow and an interview with NBC News happening on Monday. Former President Trump is getting ready to take his message to another battleground state. He's expected to rally voters in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday. He held his first rally in several days last night in Florida. During the event, he challenged President Biden to another debate. He did not deliver, though, on teases that he would be announcing his vice presidential running mate. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a Las Vegas casino wants to give away more than $1 million over the next week. Coming up, how the Mirage plans to turn guests into winners before it shuts its doors for good. Plus,
I had to get it down on the ground. Alex then went ahead and put some pressure on the back. I was able to grab it by the back of the neck.
no easy task for wildlife experts in Arizona. See how they caught up with a large lizard that really complicated this morning's commute. Fire crews from all across Oregon are joining the fight against a growing wildfire in that state. The Larch Creek fire has grown to at least 7,100 acres since it first started yesterday. It's burning about 100 miles east of Portland. Fox 12's Dylan Scott has more tonight on the evacuations that are happening in the small community of Friend.
Well, good evening. It has certainly been all hands on deck these past 24 hours. Just take a look here at all the different emergency vehicles that have come to try and contain this Larch Creek fire. Officials tell us the fire is not yet contained, but crews are working feverishly to keep the blaze from spreading beyond the 7,100 plus acres already damaged. We know Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas counties have brought in their fire departments, along with help from the state. An additional 3 counties will also be joining the efforts shortly. While the investigation is still underway, we have learned the fire is human-caused. Currently, 2 evacuation sites have also been set up at the Wasco County School and the local fairgrounds. With temperatures close to 100 degrees, those working closely with these teams say the hope is to keep the fire from doubling in size.
So that's our biggest concern right now, is that we don't want it to grow another 7,100 acres or, move another 7 miles. So we're trying to hopefully, be able to keep that down as much as we can.
As different emergency units continue to come back in, officials tell us there will be another update on the status of the Larch Creek fire coming up. And when we have that information, we will get it to you. For now, in due for Dylan Scott, Fox 12 Oregon.
Dozens of firefighters are working tonight to keep flames away from homes and high-voltage power lines that supply electricity to the Phoenix area. Those crews are battling the Pius fire burning near the town of Payson, northeast of Phoenix. At least 1,700 acres have burned here so far since the fire started Monday, and there is no containment on this fire tonight. About 100 miles south of there, crews are getting the upper hand now on 2 other wildfires. The Shake and Ray fires are burning near the town of Kearney. The Shake fire is about 50% contained tonight, while the Ray fire is 60% contained. Some people who live nearby say the sight of smoke billowing into the air is disturbing.
A lot of smoke, a lot of panic.
Just kind of gets scary,
Took down pictures, moved the animals, and just sprayed down the houses in the back.
It's just sad to see another fire here again.
Combined, the Shake and Ray fires have burned about 175 acres. All 3 fires burning in Arizona tonight are believed to be human-caused. California Governor Gavin Newsom is expressing confidence that his state is prepared for whatever comes in this year's wildfire season. He and other emergency leaders gave an update today on the state's wildfire situation. KTVU's Tom Vakar shows us some of the new technology that crews will be using this year.
Given just how fast wildfires keep popping up, the numbers that CAL FIRE's chief gave were probably outdated or soon to be.
In the last 24 hours across the state, there have been 44 new wildland fires. And between July 4th and July 5th, 227 additional wildland fires.
Governor Newsom warned of the soon-to-come next potential wave of destruction.
Lightning is not our friend. We're anticipating some lightning strikes this weekend up in the Sierras, these heat domes over the entire western United States, over and over and over and over and over again.
However, an array of new aircraft and technologies and way more firefighters is arrayed against it. Many fires were first detected by the growing array of 1,100 alert California mountaintop cameras.
Using artificial intelligence to report to the 911 call centers of new fires that are starting, sometimes before the first 911 caller.
Mutual aid is greatly improved.
This is best in class. There's no mutual aid system in the country, I would argue around the world, as efficient, effective, and coordinated as the state of California.
The advice from officials battling the flames and heat is pertinent and personal to all Californians.
Use your common sense over the course of the next few days as we work our way through this.
Learn multiple ways in and out of your neighborhood in case you are asked to evacuate, and please heed the instructions from emergency officials if you are asked to evacuate.
And this is a serious, sober time.
All day Wednesday, CAL FIRE was looking at 20 different fires, over 10 acres that it was working on. With more hot weather ahead in the coming days, and really throughout the summer, that number is going to get a lot larger. Tom Bakar, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
DNA test results announced today confirm the shark that bit a San Diego swimmer in early June was a great white. A professor from Cal State Long Beach's Shark Lab believes it was about 9 feet in size based on bite mark examinations. The Shark Lab, which has tagged hundreds of sharks over the years, says it's rare to see aggressive behavior in juvenile white sharks, suggesting the attack was likely out of defense. The FBI is getting involved tonight in the search for a Utah teenager who disappeared in Mexico. They've posted images online asking for help finding Elizabeth Gonzalez. The 14-year-old is from Ogden, north of Salt Lake City. She disappeared back on June 30th while visiting relatives in Mexico City. FBI agents have not released any details about the circumstances that led up to her disappearance. They suspect she is still in Mexico. If you know anything about where Elizabeth Gonzalez may be, contact the FBI. The Great Salt Lake in Utah is shrinking, and a new study suggests this could create a worsening cycle of drought in the region. Fox 13's Ben Winslow spoke with climatologists about why it is crucial for the lake to bounce back from the historically low water levels of 2022.
A new study finds something rather alarming about the Great Salt Lake.
As the Great Salt Lake's water body is shrinking, that local precipitation caused by the storm event is going to decrease.
I'm Ben Winslow at the Great Salt Lake. A new study by scientists at Utah State University finds that a shrinking Great Salt Lake can actually exacerbate drought across the entire Wasatch Front.
That lake effect is getting weaker.
Dr. Wei Zhang is part of a team at Utah State University that did a study on the Great Salt Lake and precipitation.
As the Great Salt Lake shrinks, that local precipitation is going to decrease.
So it creates its own drought cycle.
Yes, so this is going to trigger kind of a negative feedback. As the water body decrease, then that precipitation is going to decrease in the Great Salt Lake Basin. And that will shrink the water body. And that water body will also decrease the precipitation. It's like a negative feedback.
It's a negative feedback loop.
In general, if the lake goes from 100% to 0%, okay, in other words, it completely dries up, then there will be a 50% reduction in convective precipitation, primarily along the Wasatch Front, but southeast of the Great Salt Lake, in other words, Salt Lake City.
The Great Salt Lake can amplify winter storms. You've heard of lake effect snow. It helps create snowpack, which accounts for 95% of Utah's drinking water. This study shows that with a shrinking lake able to exacerbate drought.
I think it's really important to keep the water level in the Great Salt Lake in a healthy level, so that we could have more precipitation in the Great Salt Lake Basin, and to avoid triggering that negative feedback, that the shrinking water body could further reduce precipitation.
Environmental groups call the study's findings alarming. The Center for Biological Diversity says it underscores the urgency of the situation surrounding the Great Salt Lake and the need to get it to a healthy level quickly. The findings show the longer we wait, the harder it will be to save the lake and preserve the health of northern Utah, because precipitation will continue to diminish and it will continue to get worse. Dr. Robert Gillies is the state climatologist. With climate studies showing a trend toward hotter temperatures in Utah, the solution to avoid lake effect drought? Get more water into the lake.
We have to be much more careful in the way we use water, right, and our water resources. They are finite.
The Great Salt Lake has actually risen about 6.5 feet from its historic low in 2022 thanks to a pair of great winters. It is, however, several feet below what is considered the start of an ecologically healthy range. At the Great Salt Lake, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up tonight on West Coast Wrap, not your typical morning commute for a lot of people in Arizona today. Tonight, see how a lizard slowed things down along one freeway. Plus, the parting gift one Las Vegas casino is offering to its guests before it closes its doors for good next week. The Mirage Casino on the Las Vegas Strip is closing for good next week, but the resort has one final parting gift for its visitors. The Mirage is holding one final mega promotion offering $1.6 million worth of prizes, $1.2 million in slot money, and $400,000 in table game cash. And the resort is trying to get rid of all that money before it closes its doors for good, coming up on July 17th, just a week away. Well, they should have been back on Earth weeks ago, but 2 American astronauts are still at the International Space Station tonight because of issues with the Boeing Starliner that was supposed to bring them home. As Fox's Connor Hansen shows us, the 2 astronauts say they're confident they can return home safely.
We've practiced a lot, so I have a feeling, I have a real good feeling in my heart that the spacecraft will bring us home, no problem.
2 NASA astronauts took Boeing's Starliner capsule on its inaugural crewed trip to the International Space Station in early June. The test mission was only supposed to last a few days and now has been extended indefinitely due to helium leaks and issues with the capsule's thrusters. But the astronauts Sonny Williams and Barry Butch Wilmore say it's all part of the job.
Human spaceflight is not easy in any regime, and there have been multiple issues with every spacecraft that's ever been designed.
NASA has stressed Wilmore and Williams are not stranded, but they were supposed to return almost a month ago. Back on Earth, the space agency and Boeing are running tests trying to replicate the thruster issues on land. Meanwhile, the astronauts say they've been helping out on the space station.
About once a week we get to jump into Starliner and talk to our control team there and work through all the new nuances that they're working very hard on the ground to make sure that we will be able to come home before too long.
There's nothing to indicate that there's any problem to bring them home. They're actually certified to come back if there was an emergency. So if there's an emergency today, they could jump in the capsule, shut the hatch, and come back to Earth.
This test mission is Boeing's final step before getting NASA certification to become the second capsule from a private company to take people to and from the space station. SpaceX built the first one. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Finally tonight, a large monitor lizard was rescued from a storm drain today along a busy freeway in Phoenix. The 4-foot-long lizard was saved by a team made up of members from the Arizona Department of Transportation and the Phoenix Herpetological Sanctuary. The lizard, now identified as Archie, apparently pushed his way through a chicken wire gate while his owners were away, and he's been traversing the Phoenix area for the past few weeks.
Shock initially, seeing my lizard on the news. But, the second I heard that the Herpetological Society was on the case, I knew he was in good hands.
And we have an update for you tonight. Archie has been reunited with his owner. We're glad to hear that he is back home safe after going through all of that. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.